What is going on, everybody? This is Mike from the last Corvette. So, haven't really done much, as I stated earlier, with the C6, but the off season, I'm pretty excited. I really want to finish what I started about 2 years ago and obviously do it right. And I'll make videos and kind of track everything that I'm doing. But I wanted to make a video about top 3 modules or add-ons that I think are very useful and functional if you have a C5, C6, or even a C7 Gen Corvette. And we'll break it down, and then I'll end my video once again because I get a lot of questions about this, about OBD2 splitters, because all 3 modules do connect to your OBD2 port, so they're plug and play, no wiring, no mess, no nothing. Number 1 is window valet. Now, window valet applies to C5 and C6 Gen Corvettes, and I think it's the most cheapest and the most useful tool, specifically if you have a target top version. You can also use it on convertibles. You can also use it on your fixed tops, on your Z06s, ZR1s. Now, let me explain. On a target top, and I did make a video about this showing you guys how it all works. On the target top version, for you to remove the top off the vehicle, you have to do a couple of things. Either A, open both the doors, B, climb in the vehicle, either start the vehicle or at least turn the ignition on, and roll the windows either all the way down or halfway down to gain access to the target top. Now, with window valet, you can prep your vehicle by opening up the rear hatch, regardless if you're trying to remove the top or reinstall the top. That can be done from GM. Now, with the window valet, which is plug and play, there's no programming. It does come with a couple of little extra options, which they're all in the manual, but like I said, the most useful tool is the window cycle. Now you can roll the windows down without starting the vehicle or doing anything to the vehicle. Reach in, lower the sun visors, unlatch the 2 windshield, or the A pillar as they call it, latches, the one in the center on the B pillar, and then from there you can remove the top, place it into your trunk area, lock it in place, close the hatch, and then from there it's really up to you if you want to leave the windows down or roll them back up. Now, it also comes with a vent mode, which cracks the windows about a ½ inch or so, so just enough to air out the vehicle, but at the same time, not enough for somebody to actually stick their paws or whatever in there and grab something from inside the vehicle. Very useful tool. I use it all the time. Anytime I want to remove the target top, I'm using my key fob. Number 2, when you're building your vehicle, performance-wise, I do recommend having a standalone gauge. I use an AAM gauge with a glow shift gauge pot that goes right over your heads-up display bezel. It works really well. I got it, same thing, a couple of years ago. It's also plug and play, and it outputs more information or more data than your gauge cluster and your DIC, which is the Digital Information Center. That's for sure. Now, it only outputs what's programmed to your vehicle, meaning that, you know, if you don't have boost, it's not going to show boost. And it's the AEM version that I have is not, you know, it's not a gauge that you can customize, meaning that it's not like you can add certain inputs or outputs to it. It's locked in, but it still does fuel trims, ignition, all kinds of different things. And yes, I actually use the gauge to troubleshoot a O2 sensor on bank 2 just by looking at the fuel trims. And yep, I knew that that O2 sensor was bad. It also has the capability, obviously, to read your codes, erase the codes at the same time, so it's pretty nice. If you have a check engine light, you can actually look up the code and see what's going on. I do recommend having a gauge like that. Now, there are different options out there, but this one works really, really well for like a basic setup. So now, a not so basic setup, dash logic or dash control. Now we're going to cover C6 and C7 Gen Corvettes. Now the reason I'm saying dash logic and dash control is because the company did switch names, but the module is basically the same. Now the module comes in the box with instructions. You do need to download software onto your computer, desktop, or laptop. It does come with a communication cable And the reason I got it is because I converted my C6 to run flex fuel. So I have a flex fuel sensor, GM Continental flex fuel sensor, that's connected to my computer. So let's say if you don't have an option of HP tuners to see what the computer is reading, or you don't want to add a pillar gauge pod basically system. I don't really like, I think 1 gauge is enough. You can buy this dash control, dash logic, and you, same thing, plug and play. It's only about 1.5 inches. So if you have it plugged into your port, you're not gonna hit it with your knees, your legs, or anything like that. You're not even gonna know it's there. You can set up any kind of parameters. And I believe there's 4 pages in the DIC, and each page can display 2 links. So for me, it's, let's say air to fuel and ethanol content in my fuel system. That's what I have displayed. You can also customize and abbreviate what the parameters are. So for me, I put in corn. Now, I always run with the splitter. Now we're going to talk about the splitter. So I have a Y splitter, a 2 splitter from OBD2. I have my window valet connected to it and my AAM gauge. I only use the dash logic. When I fill up, I'll plug it in. I'll unplug my splitter. I'll plug in my dash logic or dash control module, and within a couple of seconds, it loads up and it will display my ethanol content, and that's really all I use it for. Now, of course, if you want to use it all the time, you can. You can also use it with a splitter. You can split it between a window valet and your dash logic or dash control, but you can't split it between an AEM and dash logic. And the reason is because OBD2 port can only talk to one module at the time. And whichever module powers up and wakes up first, that's the one that's going to output information, and the other one is going to be dead. Now, they do sell Y splitters, 3-way and even 4-way splitters with little on and off buttons, but I think that's just the overkill. And to me, if you're going to use dash logic, like I said, you can just plug it right into the single port, or you can split it with the window valet. And the reason you can split it with the window valet is because window valet is only used to input and trigger pins to roll your windows up and down. It's also never used when you're actually driving the vehicle, because obviously you're using your window switches. And most of the time when I use it with the vehicle off through my key fob. So hopefully that explains the top 3 modules that I think are crucial and also very, very, very practical for C5, C6, and C7 Gen Corvettes. Talk to you guys later.